now. Act 3 is part of the Diablo 2 run that I've been making, and this is just following the first two acts that we're going through. So we've got myself playing as the sorcerer. We've also got Grim as playing the barbarian, and CM Tremblay 00 as the rogue. So because we actually entered Act 3, what happens is we actually unlocked the Tier 2 armor. So it's the best armors in the game, and I'm going to go ahead and just quickly go through them just to give you an idea of how actually amazing they are. So they're actually quite pricey. They take about 900 gold, which is why my gold count just significantly went down. We have the Gladiator's Rating, which gives an extra 16 armor and 50 attack. That's amazing if you need an extra attack. I prefer the next one, so the Duriel's Shell. It's a 20 armor, and it also gives you plus 200 HP. So as you can see, unlike the other ones that we've covered before in Act 1, there's quite a bit of a difference in terms of it's all positive stuff. Lastly, there's the Guardian Angel, and as you can see, it's got less armor, but you also have a chance to gain 3 stone per kill. Now, just to let you guys know, like 3 stone per kill is actually quite significant, as you can get a lot of extra like HP and things like that, because you can kind of tweak your own stats depending on what you're looking for, but you're sacrificing a lot of armor to do so. As you can see, there's like an 8 difference in armor between Duriel's Shell, which is the highest armor, and the Guardian Angel, which is the lowest armor in the same category. So we're going to keep going on our quest. So the first area over here is a very, very simple. And of course, as you can see, my armor just went up massively, and I'm about to get even more when I'm going to be able to activate my enchant weapon. You can kind of go ahead and see quickly what the skills do in my Diablo 2 tutorial video. And it's like a half an hour long. Some of the abilities have slightly been updated since then, but in the most part, it's very consistent to what it is. So right now, there's quite a bit of mobs, but it's nothing more impressive than what you fought in Act 2. It's a really big gimme wave, really. Main thing you have to watch out for are the Huskarls in case they do target your rogue. But again, with a Jaguar Warrior and a Woad Raider, you should be able to go ahead and make short work of those. If you don't have armor, probably a bad idea to go ahead and show the rogue, as it's getting its dodge buff. So it has about 21 armor or something like that, but that's just because of the enchant. Usually they have about 16 or so, which means that if they have 16, they do about 10 damage, so you have to be a little bit careful about how it is. But at this point in the game, you're about having like 1k hit points. I do have quite a bit more just because I've been getting a lot of kills, as you can see here. Not to worry. You'll see that I will not be getting the most amount of kills later on, but the score is a little bit deceiving just because of certain values of the units. They're not the same. So if you kill 50 spearmen, it's not the same thing as killing 50 war elephants in terms of score, because the war elephants have more resource value attached to them, which means that you have higher points. Anyways, needless to say, I do have the most kills just because I am the highest in terms of levels as well. Score can be kind of a medium indicator to do that. Now this cave here, as great as it looks, I promise you it's just a trick of the eyes. You actually have to just go ahead and walk around it. So I do apologize for the hacks here. Probably should have included a teleport, but I didn't. To be fair, Rise of the Raja had just come out, and I just wanted to make something look really cool, even if I thought that you couldn't walk the way through it. There is a chest back here, and I'll kind of go ahead and explain what the chest does as per usual. So the chest here has a 1% chance of giving lifesteal, so you get an extra 15 HP per kill. Again, not too much, but you also get a 10% chance to get mana steal. Honestly, I think it's the real prize here. So you get an extra 2 mana per kill. So if you don't have, Shadow Fang, this will basically make it so that you have it. And the lifesteal here is actually better than the one that we have on Shadow Fang. 20% chance to get a attack charm, so 5 extra hit points, minus 10 food. These guys are actually quite tanky. They actually hurt quite a bit. As you can see, they do 50 damage. They have 1,000 hit points. But if you have armor, it's not a big deal. So these guys are actually stuck outside just because of what I said. You have to actually just go ahead and kind of click around it. Pathing is a little bit weird. Anyways, there's a 40% chance to get an extra 40 gold. And of course, the static for the chest is you get a greater HP potion. So that's actually a cow that is represented here. So as you can see, we all got a cow, and then of course we have our potions. So these are the mana potions that's down here. Same principle, you cross the ice to use them. And then of course you got the HP potions up here. All right, so we have to go in here and we have to assemble Kalim's flail to go ahead and stop Mephisto from taking over the Zakarum temple and things like that. Anyways, if you played Diablo 2, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the first part. You got Kalim's eye. And then we're going to go down into the Flare Jungle, which is here, which has now been opened. And I like to have the Gabitos and the Shotels for the as my little flares. And of course, we've got the Witch Doctor and Gudu here that's going to provide us with the brain, which then has the knowledge to defeat Mephisto. Alright, so we're going to go keep going. So as you can see, I'm damaged, but you'll notice that I don't really care about my HP because I regenerate really fast regardless. The only thing that's keeping me like this low is really just the fact that I'm fighting boss units, so I don't kill as much as I usually do. So as you can see here, I basically just like I think anybody can one-shot at this point. The flares and like basically the Gabitos and the Shotels. But of course the dark shapes here are very tanky. As you can see, they have quite a bit of hit points and about 21 armor. So I mean, I do have like 300, but still a 2-shot for me in comparison. Sorry, a 3-shot. So it takes a little bit longer to go ahead and kill, and especially for these guys, right? They're still relatively close. As you can see, they're in the 200s. They're not that far away. Like they can still definitely go ahead and contribute. And the main thing is just to have extra attack over what the boss armors are. And of course, if you have higher armor than what the mobs are, you're definitely in a good shape. So we're going to just fast forward this a little bit just because this gets a little bit grindy and it's kind of a little bit the intention. But as you can see, we're slowly moving down here, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to make them mass Gabitos at all, because that will actually hurt, especially if you don't have the tier 3 armors, or you don't have people giving out buffs like defensive shout or the enchant level 3. So you want the armor buffs as much as possible. So here we go. I think this is where our barbarian here goes. Nope. Alright, so he runs away, which is good. He actually activated a potion, so we just cleared the whole thing. We don't actually have to kill the buildings, but it's fine. We're just going to keep going. So at this point, the way over here on to north to Kuras is open, so we're going to go ahead and fight the Stormtree, which is actually in the way for us to go ahead and keep going on our journey. So this part here again is very time consuming. Just the Tarkans are very tanky, and as you can see, like I'm not doing so hot. Like yeah, I'm basically just cutting even, but once the Tarkans are dead, you can see my HP goes up quite a bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and explain the chest over here that's hidden on the left here. If you explore a little bit, what it gives. So the lower chest here gives has a 1% chance to give 2 armor. You have a 10% chance to get a full rejuvenation potion. You have a 20% chance to grab a large vitality charm, so that's 100%, 100 HP. I don't know why I keep saying percent. 40% chance to get extra stone, so you have an extra chance of getting 25 stone. And of course, you get 50 gold and 50 stone just for getting the chest. So that's pretty awesome. Just it's a chest that you don't want to go ahead and miss if you don't have it. There we go. And of course, there's a mini boss that's optional down here. I would highly recommend for you guys to go ahead and kill it, because this is the only boss in the game that actually gives a +1 to armor. And I say that, but there's also Diablo, but come on guys, the game's called Diablo 2. You kind of have to kill him anyway. Anyways, so Gloombat down here, which is this wonderful Huskarl over here, Mr. Theodoric the Goth. As you can see, he's quite tanky. This actually can kill even a very high level rogue, just because the Huskarls have such a huge attack bonus against archers. It is actually quite ridiculous. If you're not careful, you may actually lose it. But this one has a 1% chance to give Mara's Kaleidoscope. This is like the best amulet in the game. It costs about 800 gold. This is about as good as it gets for a drop. You also get 10% chance to get mana regeneration. So if you get the first two, like the 10% or the 1%, you're in basically in really good shape at this point. You get 20% chance to get 10 extra XP. So basically what happens is you're trying to level up a little bit quicker, because despite all my kills, I still got about 6 levels to go before I'm max level. So there we go. And then of course, the last one that you can get is a small amount of gold, which is 30 gold, on addition to the 1 armor that you automatically get for killing it. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and get my amulet, which is Mara's Kaleidoscope. Mara's Kaleidoscope. And these guys should be going on ahead. This area is pretty easy. The trick is here is that they do respawn. You don't want to go ahead and grab the cow until you've beaten the boss inside the ruined temple down here, and I'll explain why. So what happens when you convert the cow is it starts a trigger where basically the purple mobs will start regenerating a lot of hit points really quickly. So that's definitely something that you don't want to do until this next boss is done, just because I'll actually show you. She's actually quite tanky, so she's got 50 armor and 5k hit points, but she also hits very hard. As you can see, she has a plus 50 to attack as well. So especially when you're not as strong as what we are now, especially with all the buffs that are going around. As you can see, like we have like ridiculous attack, ridiculous armor and things like that. Like we just made really quick work of all of this. So here we go. And just to kind of give you a game, I'm going to put the in-game timer here. So it hasn't even been 2 hours game time, and we're approaching the end of Act 3. So these guys have been respawning, and to be fair, that boss was actually necessary. It wasn't an optional mini boss. You do need that because that is Kalim's heart. So we are 1 hour and 40 minutes inside game time. To be fair, that's a pretty good hell pace for 3 people. We'd be pretty in good shape if we were doing this in hell, but of course these stats would be completely broken and ridiculous in that difficulty setting. Alright, so of course you gotta beat the Travancore here, and kill the council members that are currently ruining Kurast. So you've got both of them, and of course you have the Jaguar Warrior. So there's no hint here. It's really going to be very, very bad for our infantry. So what I like to do here, especially on the rogue, is to go ahead and tank. But at this point, I've got so much HP, so much armor that I don't even care. I'm going to go directly for the Jaguar Warrior because he's the one that hurts the most. I mean, to be fair, the Eagle here is too, but you can see that I'm basically like 3-shotting him just because of the stupid, absurd bonus that I get against it as a Jaguar. And of course, then we're just making short work of the rest. But as you can see, maybe on this one, you'll see that alright, I tried to show that he was actually regenerating, but you might have seen it a little bit before. So now that we've killed, we've got Kalim's, we've got the flail, so we've crafted Kalim's will. We've got to kill the compelling orb, so that frees Kurast from the destructive influence of Mephisto, which is the eldest brother of the Diablo. Anyways, you get into this cave. So if you go in here in the Durance of Hate, you can't come back out to buy things. It's not exactly the final boss just yet, but you can't come back of this area if you are. But to be fair, the walk from here all the way down there, all the way back, because there's no teleport, I made sure that there wasn't, is actually incredibly long. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of mobs down here, and we're going to see that we're going to go ahead and keep going. I think that Green may have regretted his decision not to go back, but it's okay. He's going to live. Don't worry, guys. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and find which of these 3 caves leads to the correct way to the final boss. Now these caves are like which is the correct way is completely generated at random, so even I, who's created the map, has no idea which one it's going to end up being, and by the laws of, I don't know what it is, it usually ends up being the last one that I try. I think on this one it's the second last, the second one, so I got pretty lucky, but generally speaking I never get it right. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a purple mob here defending each of these, and you get a bonus if you kill all 3 of them. And I'll go ahead and speed it up a little bit because although these guys are not very difficult. They can grind down your hit points if you don't have enough regeneration items, or you're trying to save up your potions for the last one. It can get a little bit dangerous, especially in the harder difficulties. But basically, I'm going to just tell you what happens once you kill all three of the bosses. So once you kill all three of the bosses, you have a 1% chance to get a large defensive charm, so you can get another +3 armor. You have a 10% chance to get a full rejuvenation potion. You have a 20% chance to get a greater mana potion. You have a 40% chance to get extra stats, so an extra 40 stone. And then, of course, what you get is just a greater health potion no matter what you have. So right now we're just killing one of these bosses, and I'm telling everyone not to go into these caves, not until we've killed all three of the bosses, because, well, you get teleported to the final boss, and you won't get, well, you'll still get the goodies even if you're not there, but I want to get the goodies, so I'm making sure that I'm not going in there. So there we go. We've killed that one. To be fair, the last one over here is definitely the hardest one to beat because of his armor. Over here is 160. But as you can see, like right now, I'm just going around and killing a lot of things. So hopefully what I do have is I'm trying to get my heal. So I'm about 1 level away from getting heal. And you'll see that once I get my superpower, which I'll talk to when I get in Act 4, it is the most ridiculous thing in the world. It really makes the job a lot easier. But as you can see now, we've all hit the top of the charts, and as you can see, the barbarian and the rogue are pretty similar in terms of what it is, in terms of their score, I should say. But you can see that my lead here has significantly gone down in terms of how much ahead I was. I was almost doubling both of them. There's no way I can keep this up. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is the final boss fight. So it's not that impressive. So again, all of the minions here have that super extra regen. So what you want to do is you want to try to focus them down as quickly as possible. And of course, there's extra bosses down here. Mephisto himself doesn't hurt too much, but he doesn't have ballistics or even thumb ring or anything like that. So if you just patrol him on the side, you can go ahead and just kind of just debate his shots. As you can see here, as I was walking, I was missing. My HP is slowly getting down, but there's no really big issue. I'm not even worried. I'm not going to die. I think he switched his target to somebody else. Yeah, he's on the rogue for some reason. But yeah, you can see this. He's going down very quickly just because of our high attack power.